Asking for a pay rise shouldn't feel like you are confessing to committing a crime, but somehow it does.
Welcome to Rejected or Selected, a podcast where we'll be talking about job search woes, hiring horrors, and all the things fair and unfair in and around our work lives. Welcome to Rejected or Selected. Today's topic, asking for a pay rise. When it works, when it backfires. I'm sure we've all been there. I'm Jeannie Jagdor, and this is my host.
Cohort. Love that.
I'm Jeannie.
I am the
Wait, we'll do it.
Simon Carabetta. Hey everybody, how you doing?
Sorry, usually Simon does the welcome message, and I confidently said I'll do the welcome this time, Simon, and I delivered.
You delivered the cohort. You delivered the cohort to the people, and the people will thank you.
Delivered poorly. Yeah, so why are we talking about asking for a pay rise? It's very topical. I just asked for a pay rise at my work. Outcome to be continued, to be confirmed. But yeah, I felt like this could be something that everyone would be interested in. It's so hard though.
It's a tough one, Deanie. We've grown up, and I think in Australia particularly, we've got this corporate culture where it is almost like a taboo in a way. There's two things that are taboo in Australian corporate culture.
What's that, Simon?
One is asking what people make in terms of salary.
Yes.
And the second one is asking for a pay rise.
Yes. Why is it so taboo? It's like you feel like... No, it shouldn't be. Maybe it's because we're taught that it's rude or greedy to ask for things, especially more money.
But
maybe.
Please? Yeah, exactly. No,
you've got... Sir, may I have some more?
It's that. We are all of us today. We are all asking for just a little bit more porridge, right?
Tiny bit.
Just another spoonful, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a power imbalance, right? Because you're putting yourself out there, so vulnerable. And then, I don't know, they can say no, and then you'll just have to wear it or walk away. I don't know what. That's a scary prospect as well.
Look, it's simply asking. All they can do is say no. But we still have this fear entrenched in us that to even just ask the question. It's like, well, can I please have, a pay rise? There are ways to do it in a way that I guess, takes the burden off you as the person asking for the pay rise. You can do it in a professional and assertive way, and I guess we'll talk some strategies today about
which is probably the preferred way. What's
and
the other way, Simon?
But that's the thing, Dean. Not everyone knows there's different ways to ask for a pay rise, and it comes down to things like tone, the way you phrase the question as well.
How you present the request.
You got to do it in a tactful way.
Timing is probably quite important as well.
It's going to come down to a bit of research too. It really is. It's going to be work on your part if you are asking for a pay rise.
This is the first time I've ever asked for a pay rise, people.
Wow.
In my 20 plus years of career. Well, because I was working for defense government, so there's always an incremental pay rise every year, and then you get a pay rise if you go for promotion. So there's a clear process around it. I don't just go up to my director and say, hey, I'm due for a raise. There's actual... There's a clear way of attaining that. So I didn't have to ask for a pay rise for the 10 years I was with defense. Then when I went into private, it was a good salary anyway. So, and I was with that startup for 3 years, and then the next startup for, not even a year because of COVID. So yeah, I didn't really have much experience in asking for a pay rise. While you're in a job and you like it and you're doing things and you actually enjoy the job, there's that feeling of, wow, loyalty, and then, oh, well, they gave me the job, so, and I actually like this job. So, asking for a pay rise is a bit icky. gives me the ick. But yeah, there's
Yeah,
reasons why I ask for it. So yeah, it's got to be fair.
it has to be fair. You are right.
It has to be fair. Yeah. Like I found a couple of stories around pay rises that I think some people may have experienced this. So this person asked for a pay rise after taking two extra projects on
Cool.
and then covering a colleague who had left. So they said, my manager agreed I was performing well and said the timing wasn't right because it was a busy period, right? But we'd revisit in the next review cycle. That
Mm.
was 18 months ago. So I
Oof,
guess that cycle has passed.
oof.
I've had three performance reviews since then. Each time it's been still not a right time, or let's see how the year plays out. I'm now
Ooh.
doing a bigger role for the same pay, and I honestly feel stupid for believing them the first time.
Wow.
Is that a
I
red
mean,
flag?
fair. That's several red flags there. The fact that they had three performance reviews
Mm.
and and the review cycle. I mean, we'll review that review cycle. We'll have a look at your pay rise, but it's not even nothing. That's a red flag right there.
It's like if there's no timeline, criteria, or follow up, it's not a plan. So I guess when you're asking for a pay rise, you need to try and agree on a proper timeline. If that doesn't get delivered, then you need to have an honest conversation because throughout that time of waiting, you are still delivering, right? And if you were doing not to the expected standards, then the company should definitely share that information with you,
Mm-hmm.
but not string you along. The next one is kind of sad, and it's happened to a lot of people I know about the cheap labor. So um, this person said, I confessed to a coworker that I was struggling with rent. She told me that she was making it was 20K more than me for the same role, which is insane. I
Ooh.
realized I hadn't asked for a raise in 4 years because I wanted to be the easy employee. I felt like such an idiot. When I finally asked, my boss just said, yeah, you're overdue. I wasn't being a good employee, I was just being cheap labor.
I feel the biggest red flag there is the employer knew for a fact that
Mm,
someone, their colleague doing the same job, was earning more than them and didn't even
mm.
bring up the fact and say, hey, by the way, you're due for a pay rise. Waiting for them to bring it up, I'm sorry, that's a red flag. I would leave that workplace immediately. The fact that it was not.
Yeah, it's hard though because like I think in this situation, not excusing the employers, their manager wasn't really the decision maker in terms
Mm.
of, you know, expenses, and then their area had like a restricted budget, so it just works for them to not pay more. But yeah, I guess what we need to realize is that we are accountable for our own progression and that we are being remunerated fairly, just as much as the company needs to be fair as well. But
Oh,
companies, they're businesses, right? Bottom line, the money, how much are you making? They don't have as much motivation than you do to ensure that you get paid fairly.
that's true. But
Mm.
end of the day, there must be some motivation to ensure that employees are going to be happy in their job for
Yeah,
employee retention as well.
yeah,
Because it costs more to hire someone new than to keep the same person on.
yeah,
Again, factoring in this, I'm more shocked at the fact that yes, okay, 100% understand and agree. Their manager was not the decision maker in terms of the budget,
yeah,
but someone doing the same job, same business, and same
yeah.
company was earning, was it 20,000 more that you said
20,000 more
a
a
year?
year, which is a lot.
It's
Like
not
that's
not on. That's absolutely not on. Yeah, no, flabbergasted. But it happens. It happens.
it
I'm not
happens a
entirely sure.
lot. One person talked about how they actually got their number that they wanted by not talking in a sense that, okay, so this guy went to get a to ask for a pay rise. And he said, the best advice I ever got was to state my number and then shut up. I did it. I asked for a 15% bump and then just stared at him, the manager. It felt like 3 hours, but it was probably 20 seconds. But he eventually said, I can't do 15, but I can do 12. If I had kept talking, I would have negotiated myself down to 5% just to fill the air. So I think that's good advice for me because I'd be like, oh, but I'm flexible. Yeah, shooting yourself in the foot. I think silence can say a lot is a good lesson for both of us, Simon. That's like poker playing, right? It is a negotiation. So,
And I've learned strategic silence before in sales. Is that whole pause, wait. It
yeah.
works, but my God, can it be intimidating to the person
I
on the
mean, it could
table?
backfire.
And
That's a gamble. It's a gamble.
rambling too much, like I do, can backfire as well. So, yeah, you got to have that fine balance, right?
Yes. I guess one of the things that would be really useful is that when you do ask for a pay rise, and we'll go through this a bit, I guess. When you ask for a pay rise, you need to be confident in the reasons why you are asking. You need to have that data to support what you're asking for. And if you didn't have that, you'd probably fold during that silence.
It can be a mind game. It really can. But it can also be a game of chess where you're thinking ahead and you're actually, you know what you're doing as well. So, I mean, there
Mm.
are some strategies to, I guess, increase your chances of not saying and do not, disclaimer, right here, right now, disclaimer. The advice we're giving you today, the discussion we're having, is not going to guarantee you a pay rise.
No,
Please
it's
just that.
anecdotal.
We are
Totally anecdotal.
not saying we guarantee you a 10% pay rise at minimum tomorrow when you walk into your boss's office and storm me and kick the door down if you have to. Say, I want 10%, mate. No, we're not doing that, guys. We're not doing that today. We are just discussing the topic. Just want to make that
Yes.
very clear with everybody right now.
I mean, basic rule of negotiation is always over ask, right?
Mhm.
So if you want 10%, don't ask for 10%. You got to leave them room to negotiate down. And I probably shouldn't be saying this before I get my pay rise request results.
You're talking too much. Strategic silence, Dini. Silencio. No, you're right. You're good.
Um,
You're good. It's. I learned that the hard way. Just if I can make it, an example in real life. Like I sell a few things on marketplace from time to time, things that are gathering dust. And just yesterday, I sold something that I hadn't used for a very long time. A piece of technology. It was gathering dust. I did my research. I found out what everyone else was selling theirs for, and I went, yeah, I think I want it sold quickly, so I went a little bit lower. And what happens? The first person to make an offer put about $30 lower than that.
yes,
And I thought to myself at that point, you know what? I just want this gone. As soon as we agreed on price, every single other person in Perth comes out of the woodwork wanting the same item for the price originally.
You could have had a bidding war going.
I could have got more too. But anyway, it's done now. So yeah, people, please always start higher than what you pay.
Well, also, when you're coming into a negotiation, it's better not to be desperate.
Yeah, look, I wasn't desperate. I just wanted to get rid of something.
Well, yeah, you desperately needed to get rid of something.
But yeah, I was desperate to get rid of it, right? So yeah, don't smell desperation, people.
I guess so. That touches on when. When is the good time? You should ask for a pay rise.
Usually around review cycles is a good time to ask. I would say, timing counts, especially in Australia. Timing does count. Do it when business is going well. Is good.
Yes.
Don't
absolutely.
do it at a time when people are worried about their jobs, for one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, things are taking a bit of a downturn and things are slow and quiet. Not the right time.
When you know that the company is losing money is probably not a good time.
Yeah. You're getting bled dry, but can I bleed you anymore, please? It's.
I think other green lights would be if you have data about your own work and you know that you're delivering above and beyond. You have clear wins. Your scope has expanded. Maybe that's a good time to
Absolutely.
ask for a raise.
Make it evidence.
And then, yeah, like that other person, when the manager's already praising your performance, like they're actually telling you you're doing a good job, that's a good time for asking for a raise after a
Mhm.
certain delivery period. And if you know that your role, I mean, for what you're doing, you are underpaid. That's a clear sign for you to ask for a pay rise.
Exactly. And I think there's
Mm,
three things you need to frame the conversation around with your boss or whoever it is that's making the decision. Three things. First one is your value. The
mm,
second one is contribution, and then market alignment. Those three
yeah.
things. Like bring that up in the conversation. Don't talk too much about it. Don't ramble. Be very, very clear and use it as evidence. This is
Yes.
why I'm asking for 15%. And by the way, you want 10, but you're asking for 15%. Or you want 15, I'm asking for 18%. Something like that. So
Do
if you
not ask without evidence
hey, I think I deserve 20,000 a year more. Why? I work hard.
because
Yeah. I work really hard.
no, but also actually touching on that, I I heard that so and so is making 20 grand more, so I should get 20 grand more. It's probably not a great justification to ask for a pay rise.
Mm,
Um, if you say, I heard that so and so is getting 20 grand more, and I'm also delivering all of these things, that's probably a little bit better when you're
yeah,
asking for a pay rise.
you're right. Hearsay and conjecture probably won't get you the pay rise you're asking for.
Hmm.
It is really good to definitely make it seem like it is a fact that there are people in this organization that are making this much. But don't
Hmm.
frame it as just your organization because that's too close to home and it's too personal. These are your colleagues.
Yeah.
Make it market based, align with in your industry, in your role that you play. What are people who do a role similar to you or your exact role in your industry? What are they making per annum? And use that as your evidence. That's all you really need. It's there in front of you. I mean, there are websites that have this information. Seek is a really
Yeah.
good one for starters.
If you can get like information from at least three different websites or known, like Glassdoor or Hudson's or, known employment data providers, then that would be really good because,
Mm.
solid, you're not just pulling numbers out of thin air and
It's the
hope
whole
it lands.
napkin. It's the napkin thing, isn't it? Like you do, here's a napkin. Write your number on there. I know. 1,000. Oh, where'd you get that from? I don't know.
Who
It's a good
knows?
number.
I feel
Zero.
like that's my value, $10
That's
million
my
dollars a year.
it's we as much as we all want it's from time to time we'd like to see the reward for the extra effort and success we're bringing to our company that we're
Mm,
working for. It's not going to happen automatically and it's not going to happen even from asking. You need to have the evidence to back you up, support your
mm,
argument. um,
yeah,
it's really important, but you've got to you've really got to use it's about how you use the language as well, Deanie. It's not
mm,
just tone, it's not just having that evidence. Things like collaborative language are really good, making it known that you are still a team player even though you're asking for a bit more. So
mm,
like what would it take for us to come to an agreement, or how
mm,
do we come to an agreement about a potential future pay rise for the effort that
mm,
I'm putting in? So you're still a team player, you're still at this company, you're not looking elsewhere, you're loyal, um, and you're going to continue to do great work post
yeah,
pay rise as well. And I think
yeah,
that's what a lot of employees are going to want to see, that you're actually going to stick around, you're going to stay there.
yeah.
Don't
I
ask
think that
what
would,
will it take for me to stay in this job. What would it take for you to keep me here? More like
yeah,
what would it take for us to negotiate a fair, market based pay rise for this company?
yeah.
Me
I
in this.
think they would appreciate, execs or the company would appreciate together with your pay rise, you would, if we can briefly outline what you plan to do over the next 3, 6, 12 months
Mm.
following the pay rise, just to drive home the message that they are investing in you. It's not just extra expense. What's the value that you're going to deliver with
Mhm.
this pay rise?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Frame it like you're in another job interview, because when you are interviewing for your job for the first time, you are outlining your plan, what you intend to do, and how you intend to bring success to your role,
Mm.
accomplish things in your role. You're doing the same thing in the pay rise negotiation. It is essentially another interview. You've got the
Yeah.
job, but it's what are you going to do with this pay rise is something that we approve of. So a
Yeah.
plan in place would be great, even if it's a 100-day plan post pay rise. This is what I plan to do. This is what I plan to implement that will actually bring,
Mm.
whether it's more revenue or more business or more partnerships or, efficiency in your role, whatever it is. What's something that you are going to do that is going to bring more value to
Mm.
the company than what you already produce?
More value, more revenue. More revenue would probably be a better sell, but if you're not in a revenue generating role, then yeah, definitely
Mm.
more efficiencies, how you're going to help the business achieve its objectives in a
Absolutely.
way that is less time, effort, cost. That would be really good.
I agree with
Yeah,
you. Can we touch on something very quickly that a lot of people probably don't think of
yeah,
unless it really happens to them? And that is when you are in the workplace, and I think it alludes to one of your stories from earlier, when you
mm.
are given extra responsibilities without a title, where is the justification there for asking for a pay rise as well?
Yeah. And then the fact that most job roles initially aren't designed well enough that it would capture the realities of your role.
Mm,
Um, that makes it a bit harder uh, to realize that, oh, is this a good reason to ask for a pay rise, or is it just actually part of the role that I'm supposed to do, but it
mm,
wasn't articulated clearly in my initial job description?
exactly.
Um, yeah,
That
I
is
don't
a
know.
that is a
It's
tough
case
one.
by case. It's case by
Exactly.
case.
I think so too. It's all based on context. Look, if your extra responsibilities mean that you are actually sinking more hours into your day in the office
Mm,
or at home or wherever you work, then I think it's completely justified. But again, you need to bring that evidence of why you are working extra hours,
yeah.
because they could easily turn around, your boss could easily turn around and say, well, that's not being efficient. You should be able to do this alongside your normal role in a normal 8-hour workday. Um, while that's a really unfair thing to say, some
Yes.
companies will turn around and will say
Some
that.
would say that's gaslighting.
It is gaslighting, but let's be honest, and let's be honest here. There are going to be companies that will say that. Speaking of
Mm,
gaslighting, something I want to touch on. I said earlier when we talked about one thing. One other taboo is not being able to talk about how much you make or ask other people how much they make. I think
yes.
the industry in Australia has gaslit all of us into believing.
Yeah, it's convenient, isn't it?
It's convenient because without discussing
We don't have the
salary,
knowledge.
we
Yes.
don't have the knowledge to leverage our negotiations in payroll.
Mm,
Unfortunately, that's
yeah.
the reality. So we have been completely gaslit by industry to not talk about salary. How
Mm.
do you talk about salary though? How do you go to your colleague? Hey, by the way, just curious, how much do you make a
How much
year?
you make?
I wouldn't ask that in the break room. I would not
No,
say, what
no.
is an appropriate way to do it? It's a tough one too, because I believe we should be asking the question.
Gee,
How do
I
we
was
ask?
hoping you had an answer, Simon. I was waiting for this is how you
No,
can do
no,
it.
no. I don't have an answer to that, but I think it's something for our audience to think about. And
Yeah.
if you do have an answer to that, we want to hear from you on our LinkedIn or our Insta.
Yes.
You can hit us up at Reject or Selected. Do let us know.
I think I've had instances where I didn't have to ask, but the conversation came up and that information was shared with me. And that happens in situations where I have a really good relationship with my colleague and that we trust each other. We have a level of trust where we know we wouldn't judge each other. We know we're there for each other. It's not like a dog eat dog kind of situation. It's more about, we're in the same boat. Yeah, it's a relationship level thing. I think
Mm.
it's hard to be open and honest about that kind of information with colleagues that you don't really know or get along with or work well with. So
Yes,
relationships in the workplace, they are very important.
exactly. And
Mm.
look, let's be honest, outside of government, you are not going to know how much your colleagues make. Because in government, there's transparency. In education, there's
Yeah, yeah.
if you're a certain level of experience, number of years in there,
Mm,
you know what you're on, you know what your colleagues are on. It's a
mm,
group. So there's no discussions
yeah.
about it. You don't get pay rises in those roles anyway unless you're promoted. So it's interesting to note that what we're talking about today, everybody, is really very private sector centric today. So private sector. Sorry, I should say private.
Private sector,
That
yes.
makes no sense.
Uh,
Private sector centric.
so going back to how do we know, if we've got extra projects or extra responsibility, in our opinion, that
Mm,
that is realistically something that we can justify to get a pay rise for? Well, I guess the point where you ask for a pay rise, generally you would have been doing the job for some amount of time, a respectable amount of time to
mm,
understand the difference between this is what I was expected or asked to do at the beginning, and this is what I'm doing now.
yes.
Uh, Several ways of doing that is just going back to external sources, research based on this job title, what is the expectation for that role? And then comparing it to what you're doing right now. But also, again, in good relationships with colleagues, you would hear feedback from colleague, whether you ask it or not. If they say, wow, you're actually doing a lot for your role, or you would have conversations where this come up, and that could be a driver for you to ask for a pay rise because you've learnt in the field in ops that, yeah, even colleagues are saying that you're doing more than what you should be doing, so that's a good indication that, hey, maybe it's time for a pay rise or a role review. um,
Mm,
Sometimes it's not just about the dollars. Maybe it's about getting a title that is appropriate to what you're doing, which hopefully will translate in a pay rise. But also, what you ask in a pay rise is not just, oh, I want X amount more. Maybe you want to change the way that you get remunerated. Maybe you want to add a bonus component to it that
mm.
ties to revenue rise. Maybe you want different types of benefits. Maybe you want employee stock options. So many different ways of increasing your monetary value from a company. That's not just a straight, oh, you get X amount more every year, although that is lovely. That is probably the aim, but there's other ways, especially if the business is small or it's still growing, or things are kind of tight. You can negotiate ways of getting more remuneration for the job that you're doing.
100%. And look, before I just got to say, Deanie, that's extremely insightful what you said and great advice. And I almost want to take back my disclaimer from earlier. But I guess before we do wrap up today's episode, one thing I would
Mm,
like to suggest is sometimes these negotiations, we say pay rise, it's not always around pay. People sometimes might want to negotiate things such as training fully paid for by the company to upskill
mm,
people, do their job more efficiently or improve certain processes. It might be things like you said, can we introduce a bonus scheme where I've introduced this much revenue to the company? Is there
mm,
any chance I could get a share of that? Obviously, reframing it in a different way to that, of course. And then absolutely looking at things like, are there any share incentives? How can is there employee stock options in this company if it is a publicly listed company?
mm,
So there are lots of other negotiations you can have during the course of your time at a certain job that don't
mm,
revolve just around money. It might be
mm.
something else because let's not forget sometimes employee training could run up to tens of thousands of dollars. So that's actually
Yeah.
money right there that
Mm,
you're being given to do a course essentially that is
mm,
going to improve your career. So these are also things that people need to consider as well. How else can I be rewarded for good work that I'm doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing, just before we wrap up. You worked yourself up to ask for this pay rise. You've done your due diligence. You've got the data. You've presented it really well. You've given them the space to think. One thing you need to think about also is what do you do after? Because there's different outcomes, right? They might say yes, they might say no, they might say later. That's something to think about as well, so you are prepared um, for all of these outcomes. Because you might want to make a decision. If they say no, what are you going to do?
Exactly. You're
I
100%
mean,
correct.
yeah. So you are you going to try again? Are you going to start job hunting?
Where do you go?
Make sure you don't burn bridges, like we always say.
Yeah,
But
that's a
definitely
really
ask
good
why.
question.
Definitely ask why and what do you need to do to make the no into a yes. That is important as well. Don't just leave it. You need to learn something from that rejection.
You do, and
Yeah.
great. I think that's a really, really good point you brought up right at the end there, Denny. So, thank you. I think all our listeners will definitely take some of that on board.
And hopefully it's a yes for me. Fingers crossed.
We will. Are we going to keep the listeners updated, or is this a private matter? Well, you brought it up.
I don't mind keeping them updated. I mean, it's the reality of the job, isn't it? I've
True.
made a commitment to be on a podcast about work, rejection, and selection. So, got to put my money where my mouth is.
There you go, folks. Well, we are going to hopefully hear back from Deanie, hopefully in an upcoming episode about her pay rise negotiations. And fingers crossed, it all goes. No worries. Well,
All
thank
right.
you, everybody out there. Thank you so much, Deanie, for joining me again on another episode of Rejected or Selected. And indeed, thank you to all of our lovely
Yes.
audience for listening
Always a pleasure.
to episode
Enjoy your
2.
week, everyone.
Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you next time on
Rejected or
Selected.
or rejected or selected. Bye.
See you guys. Bye.